City Life kids, I want to teach you a new word. Intercede. Can you say it? Intercede. The word intercede means to pray or act for the good of someone who is in the wrong. Here are some examples of times someone should intercede. When someone is lying to their mom, hitting their brother, stealing candy, making fun of someone. These are times when someone should intercede if they see something like these happening. A police officer has the duty to intercede when they see a car that didn't stop at a red light. They may pull that car over and intercede. This was one of the jobs of a priest in Bible times, was to intercede for God's people. To pray to God on their behalf or ask forgiveness on their behalf. Jesus is our perfect priest because he interceded for us. He interceded for us through his death on the cross, and he lives to intercede for us. He sacrificed himself for us. He suffered for us. He did all that, but unlike a human priest, he never sinned. Hebrews 4:15. For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. Hebrews 4:15. Let's get ready to hear more about how Jesus is our perfect priest as we listen to our Bible story from Hebrews chapter 7. The early church was made up of almost all Jewish believers who were persecuted for following Jesus. Because their lives had become difficult, many believers began to wonder if Jesus was worth it. Some may have thought about giving up on Jesus altogether. In the past, God's people, the nation of Israel, were led by priests. Priests led the people to worship God through sacrifices. Aaron the Levite and his descendants were priests. The Holy Spirit helped a Christian leader write the words of encouragement to the early church in the book of Hebrews. The author of Hebrews told Jesus' followers that Jesus is better. Jesus became like us in every way so he could become a merciful and faithful high priest for us. Because Jesus suffered and was tempted, he is also able to help us when we are tempted. The writer of Hebrews reminded believers about Melchizedek. Melchizedek is the first person in the Bible to be called a priest. This is what the author wrote. We know Melchizedek was greater than Aaron, the first chief priest of Israel, because Abraham gave him a tenth of his treasure. Melchizedek, the king of Salem and priest of the God Most High, reminds us of Jesus, the Son of God. Aaron and all the priests who came after him were men who died. Jesus is our priest who lives forever. The priesthood of Aaron and the Levites, who made sacrifices for the sins of the people, was not enough to save them forever. The law set up as priests men who were weak, limited by their sin and by death. Their work pointed forward to a greater priest, Jesus. Jesus fulfilled God's promise and became the perfect sacrifice. Now we have a perfect priest forever. Jesus is able to save completely those who come to God through him, since he will never die again. He always lives to intercede for them. Jesus is the priest we need. He is holy and without sin. Jesus doesn't need to offer sacrifices every day as high priests do. First for their own sins, then for those of the people. Jesus did this once for all time when he offered himself. God sent us his Son, our perfect priest, forever. Jesus is the perfect priest, the high priest who interceded on our behalf of the people, laying down his life to be a once and for all sacrifice for sin. A human priest had to make a sacrifice for sin over and over because they sinned themselves. But Jesus is the perfect priest because he never sinned. No sacrifice for sin will ever be needed again. Everyone who trusts in Jesus has salvation from sin through his perfect life, death, and resurrection. Hey kids, to find more videos like this, scan this QR code.